So when history replays itself, which it's doing right now, again, and nobody learns, see, that's what's wrong with our world. So one of the major problems we have is history replays itself over and over and over and over and over. And as humans, you think that you would learn from the mistakes of history and that you want to correct them problems. But that's not what people do, is it? No, we keep repeating the same mistakes over and over. I guess it's sort of like, when you're a little kid and your mama taught you to look both directions before crossing the road, and you decided to count your toes while you crossed the road and got run over. That's sort of what we do. And then our mommy and daddy got after us because we got run over after we got out of the hospital. We're lucky enough to be alive, and we went out and counted our toes and crossed the road again because we just never learn, right? Well, that's sort of what it's like in our world. And what's even more disgusting? I mean, I can understand years and years back, decades ago, long ago, that there wasn't a television set, there wasn't an internet. And it would have been harder to pin down truth as much as we're able to today. But even when the JFK files was finally released, they only released what they wanted to, right? You do know that, right? I hope you're not stupid enough to think they released the real truth to you. There's no way in hell they would ever do that. Because to release the real truth to you, they would have to acknowledge who was behind Kennedy's assassination, and you would find out that, George Herbert Walker Bush was right up there at the top of being behind old JFK's death. And in return for helping to kill the President of the United States, he got to be the President of the United States. That's what you'd find out. No, I'm not lying to you. That's truth. That is so much truth in your face that most of you won't want to hear. But I guess it's no different. Why not? George Herbert Walker Bush could help kill the President of the United States and become a President of the United States for doing so. His son later on, your brother, whatever you want to call him, George II, comes into office. He gets to play everybody for suckers with Dick Cheney and break laws and send you into war again, and he's still free and running around too, isn't he? That's right. All the Clintons, they get to come in and they get to do the Oklahoma City bombing, and they get to pillage and kill and steal and rape and plunder, and they're still free. Yep, this history plays itself. And then they released these JFK files. Everybody wanted to make a big deal out of it, but there is something in the JFK files that people have been telling you for a long time that everybody said, you're a nut. You don't know what you're talking about. It's a conspiracy theory. That's right. Used their famous words to cover up truth and called you a tinfoil wearing hat conspiracy theorist. And that's right there in your face. They released the files. They told you that after the end of World War II, remember when Operation Paperclip happened? There was also conspiracy theory. There was never conspiracy theory. It was always truth. But that's what you use to cover up truth, isn't it? That's right. They told you straight up that Adolf Hitler was still alive. That's it. He was protected. Who do you suppose he was protected by? Who do you suppose he was protected by? The very people behind all of this. And the United States government. That's right. He's flowing away, given a new identity, allowed to live out his life amongst the people after all the atrocities he done. That's right. Troy was just following the orders of his daddies. That's right. So through all the wars we've had out through history, and all the replays and replays and replays, we always fail to go after the real people behind it. The people financing both sides of the war, the bankers. You know, one particular family would be the Rothschilds. Yeah. We fail miserably to go after these people. We allow them to stay free so they can repeat it. And they do. The Rothschilds gave you United Nations. That's where United Nations came from. They gave you United Nations. That they control. And what do? We follow the orders. We listen. You know, in your last election, your last stage show, you know, the last stage show, when they gave you your new puppet called Trump. Your new puppet, that's right, called Trump. Because you're never going to get a good president in office. It's impossible. It's physically impossible. Because you're being run by the mafia. Wes Croft wanting to kick my ass, but anyhow, you're being run by the mafia. The syndicate, the mob. You might as well be. Criminals. Nothing's going to change. You said, well, it's not possible. It is possible, but it's not possible when people are too big and yellow. Cowards. Who are all afraid and scared and bend over. Excuse my language again. But that's what we have. And it happens over and over and over and over. You know, and you can't get it through people's heads as they're all divided the way they want you. That wasn't by accident. Everybody's been divided in every fashion possible. In every fashion possible, straight across the board. And for all you so-called truthers, you fake truthers, that have to have the tool to address the topics I'm talking about, you're not a real truther because you have to have the tool to defend your own self, your own life, your own family. Because that's what you're saying. And for the other portion, which is a pretty damn good portion now, of you disinfo agents, you shields, you plants up here on YouTube, whether you're working for Raytheon or any of these other fictitious corporations, or whether you're working for the feds, that's right, NOAA, NASA, doesn't matter. You're up here on YouTube, putting out your videos, lying to the public, telling little pieces of truth here and there, a little more truth here and there, a bunch of propaganda mixed in with the truth, and a bunch of propaganda mixed in with the truth, to keep the lie alive, to keep the truth buried, to keep the lie alive, to keep truth buried. You got all forms of media lying their butts off to you, including alternative media. Yep. Feeding you propaganda. Oh yeah, they tell you some truth. They sit down and they script all their stories. They script it. And they write what truth they want in there, mixed in with a whole bunch of propaganda, a whole bunch of lies. Every channel you go to on television is feeding you propaganda, lies. Your school system's teaching you lies. You don't stand a chance. And you want to fall for the lies that's been fed to you throughout the years and years and decades and decades. You want to stay divided? You want to blame one another for the problem that's been passed down and given to you? And most of you ain't smart enough to see it for what it really is, to know what's really going on. So history will replay itself again. That's right. It will replay itself again. And millions of people will have to die again. Millions of innocent people will die. Your children absolutely have no future. Or for somebody else's selfish interest, selfish gain, for their own self to have control and power. Control and power. And to be able to own everything, including you. Most of you ain't smart enough to recognize that. You know, it's pretty pathetic. It's pretty sickening. It's pretty disgusting. And for you, disinfo agents up here on the net, who have your great following of idiots that claim they want truth, that couldn't see the truth if it was right here in front of their face like their hand. They still wouldn't be able to see it, let alone understand it. You got them right where you want them, don't you? But I want you disinfo agents to remember something. You know, just like Alex Jones. I want you to all remember something. When your daddies, your bankers, your corporations, you know, when they get through using you, and they're done with you now, because they've got their want all the way where they want it, they always dispose of you. History replays itself. You're not smart enough to figure that out yourself, neither are you. No. History's always replayed itself. And every time, every single time, what do? They kill off their tools. They can't allow their tools to live. Because if their tools realize they're not going to get what they were promised, the tools have been making followings of people to steer them down a rabbit hole. Well, their tools might turn on them and start getting people to realize what's really going on. They don't want to take that chance. So they'll also do away with you. You will be dead too. That's right. And it won't be hard for them. After all, they got you all in their back pocket. They control you with the tool. You know, the tool, money. Money, the root of all evil. The controlling tool. And you will be controlled with that. Just some food for thoughts. Will mankind ever be able to rise past stupidity and not allow history to replay itself and be able to rise up and go after the real people behind it? You know, like bankers and corporations, and not just government officials, no. You had to go above all of your government officials to the real meat. Rothschilds, Rockefellers, J.P. Morgans. Yeah. You had to start looking for the real meat. Follow the money, follow the control. When you do that, only then will you be able to stop history from replaying itself and be able to save millions and millions of lives. Until you do that, you will never change nothing. History will replay itself. And for all you disinfo agents who are loving what you're doing, you will be loving the end results too. when you find your ass with a gun to the back of your head. And it's your turn as history replays itself.